Culture is the intersection of creativity and capitalism. Creators drive culture forward by sharing their craft with others. We're exploring the lives of amazing humans creating amazing things. This is Creator Craft with Adam Rivietz.
After university, when I finished over here, I was a film, I studied film and I was a director, a young director. So I would travel to Europe on my summer breaks. And I had a connection somewhere in Greece who was able to get me an interview with the state broadcaster who were looking for directors. I thought, well, that'd be a nice gig, right after university, do a little bit of directing over there. And I got hired on as a director. And this is going way back. I think I was the only university educated director working on that network back then.
Wow.
Film studies were not a really big thing back, and I won't tell you how old I am, but it's pretty far back. So I did that. I moved there for a while, and I worked as a television director for a number of years, and I kept getting promoted and working with various companies in Europe. So my base would be Athens, but then it would change. I would go to Amsterdam, and after working for another television network, we had operations in New York as well too. So I would go back and forth from New York and Athens. And then when I got into film distribution, which is what I was doing the last 20 odd years, I worked for 20th Century Fox, and my base of operations was Athens and Bucharest, because I handled Romania as well in Southeastern Europe. So I would be traveling a lot in Europe. London was our head office. Head office was LA, but our reporting office was London, England. As a young man, I was very political. I studied political science at university when I started, but I was just got disenchanted and wanted to quit. And I remember my younger brother goes to me, "You shouldn't quit school." And he goes, "You should do what you like." I go, "Well," he goes, "What do you like most in your life?" And I said, "Geez, I love movies." I knew everything about movies. As I was 17 years old, I was a walking movie encyclopedia. Because
Wow.
my mom and dad were really deeply into film too. They loved movies. In fact, my mother loved music. She used to listen to opera when she was pregnant, which maybe explains why I love opera now too. So I got a little bit of even though they were not in the creative industry, they loved the creative arts. So in following my brother's lead, I said, okay, I'll do a reset and I'll sign up to film school. So I went and I said, let me see if I can apply my knowledge, my film history, to something that I like, so make my hobby into maybe a profession. It's sad for me that a company with such a rich history, literally almost 100 years old, and produced so many films and the highest proportion of Oscars and awards than most other studios, and
Wow.
great box office successes, it just stopped. It ceased to be, not because it failed, because it was doing great business. It just ceased to be because somebody decided they could buy it, or Murdoch said, "I've had enough and I want to get out," and he just let this perfectly functioning organization just kind of disappear. And now that Disney has taken over, I have very ambivalent feelings. I don't like the fact that Fox doesn't exist. And Disney is kind of a different animal. They have a different way of functioning. It works for them. But the business I was in, the way I was accustomed to working, I was more of a maverick, a little bit more of a mixer-upper sort of thing. And Disney follows a different path. And it works very well for them because those are the kind of films they make. But we did other films at Fox. And I think that's a loss for the industry. So I'm not very happy about that. But I understand things like this happen. But it's no good when companies get too big. But that's the future. That's the way things are going right now. It's all these huge behemoths, Google, Apple, Facebook, whatever. Things are just getting bigger and bigger. And a lot of the good stuff that made it juicy and interesting are kind of slipping through the cracks. And I'm sad about that. Anybody can do what I call marketing kumon. It's like rote, you learn it, you do it well. And that's fine. And there's a need for that. And everyone should know that. You should know your timetable. You should know how to multiply. But I want to go beyond kumon and go to what I call marketing algebra. Do something a little bit more advanced, a little bit more interesting. And doing these little projects, these little events, even if it gives us 1, 2, 3, 4% more than what we would have got doing without it, sometimes that's your profit margin. Sometimes that's what you need to reach a different audience or to cultivate an audience to use again for the next film, to have a larger fan base, to have a larger a lot of larger customer base. So all these little cherries that you see, you put them all together, they're what make the cake look beautiful at the end. It's not just one cherry. It's a whole bunch of cherries on the cake, and you have the whipped cream underneath, and you have the nice spongy cake on the bottom. Well, I think you need it all. And this is what I consider as little cherries. And I think we did that very well at Fox, better than other studios. And I see, the best form of flattery is maybe when you're imitated. And I see a lot of people did what we did. They did it after us. So what made me most proud in my working relationship all those years, particularly the years with Zenith and Chris Kalevi and the team over there, was we did things that other people wouldn't do. And we did it first. And it worked out perfectly for us. Working in Europe has made me, I believe, a more interesting person, not because I'm cool, but because I've been exposed to more things. So I think it's very cosmopolitan. You have this whole European attitude. People don't realize Canada is an incredibly cosmopolitan and sophisticated country. And I'm sorry, I don't want to just go back to work again, but a lot of the things I learned in Europe, I applied them in Canada, because there's always this opinion that working in Canada on films that you're doing what the US does. We're not the US. The US has one way of doing things in LA, but Canada, when they'd say this is the marketing plan, I say, yeah, that's great for you guys, but that doesn't work for Canada. Canada is a different beast. We're a hybrid. We're Anglo-Saxon. We're very British in a way, but we're also very European because we have a huge immigrant population over here. So I think we're much more worldly than a lot of the Americans, quite frankly. And these attitudes, these opinions that I had in the international market, that's what really helped us make a difference, I think, in our marketing over here, because we marketed like we're an international company, not a domestic US company. So that's helped a lot professionally.